Parliamentarians chime in on the government high school murder, 1.2 new COVID infections reported in the Americas, and police on the hunt for a notorious con woman. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Wednesday, May 19th. A tragic day for the Capitol yesterday as a stabbing incident leaves one male student dead and another in hospital, with the perpetrators still on the run. Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd expresses his deep sadness on the incident and reassures his ministry's commitment to prevent this from happening again. With more details, we go to our Tyler Simonet.
Ken Paul. That is the name of the 16-year-old government high school student who met an untimely end yesterday afternoon. The other victim of that stabbing incident, Timothy Johnson, is presently being treated at Princess Margaret Hospital for his injuries. We learn as much from Minister of Education Jeffrey Lloyd as he spoke about the stabbing incident in the House of Assembly this morning.
It is, Mr. Speaker, sporadic. It is unusual. Highly unusual, but it happens. Violent acts on school campus. Too often there is violence in the society in which our children are enmeshed. The ministry itself struggles with the concept. A 16-year-old male could fathom the option of stabbing another person with a weapon, resulting in their untimely and tragic demise.
Minister Lloyd says that the ministry is horrifyingly grieved by this tragic incident and sends heartfelt condolences to the families. He was also on campus at GHS today, where he says Minister for National Security Marvin Dames relayed to him a tragic and unbelievable message.
That the two young persons, certainly the young man who inflicted the deadly wounds, are yet not in police custody, which means that they are potentially being harbored by someone. Please be aware, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that this ministry is committed to a policy of no tolerance for violence on our school campus.
Mr. Lloyd says that his ministry is conscious of the fact that students and other members of the school community may still fall prey to the incidents of violence and other forms of disruptive behavior, which also plague the wider society. He also sends this message out to the public.
Community must be assured that the Ministry of Education and this government will spare no effort in its ongoing quest to eliminate acts of violence against students, staff, and others visiting our campus. We are assured that the police is now wrapping up its investigations into this matter and that the perpetrators of this attack will be brought to justice.
For JCN News, I'm Tyler Simonet.
National Security Minister Marvin Dames addressing the media today following that stabbing incident on the government high school campus, which is located in his constituency. Here's Laurencia Smith with that report.
On the heels of that tragic stabbing on the campus of the government's high school, National Security Minister Marvin Dames was very candid when he told reporters during a sideline interview that as a people, we need to stop placing blame on one another and ask ourselves some very hard questions, parents in particular.
But you had that incident, and the police are very aware as to who the perpetrators are, right? It's young kids. And this morning, as I speak to you, those kids are still on the run. So where are their parents in all of this? See, these are the questions that we have to be asking ourselves. Don't they have the, authority over these children to bring them in? These are the challenges. And so what you see is that the police now have to take all of their resources, a lot of their resources, to go looking for these kids.
In the early and mid-2000s, the presence of police officers on the campus were clearly visible. It was a program endorsed by the Progressive Liberal Party. However, since taking office, the Free National Movement has had a different view on police presence in public schools. Minister Dames noted that the neighborhood police had just visited GHS campus only a few hours prior to that incident. He adds, though, police can't be present every hour of the day on those campuses.
It's never left. It's never left. Okay? It's never left. The police in these communities are constantly in contact with these institutions. But that is not only the answer. There's a bigger problem here. And we will all continue to ignore what that bigger problem is.
Now asked if he's worried about gang activities spilling over into the school campuses, he says this.
The school is just a microcosm of our communities. We isolate the school. It could be in a public place, it could be on a park, right? It can be in a shopping center, it could be at a mall, it could be downtown, it could be on a beach, okay? We like to isolate the schools, right? But this is just a microcosm of our wider society.
GHS Principal Eloise Wims, a veteran educator, says Tuesday's stabbing was emotional and the first time she has lost a student. When asked if she feels like the school is safe, she says this.
Yes, ma'am. That is just one isolated incident and we will bounce back from that.
And do you believe that police need incident?
I believe what we would have had in the past is a release relationship with the school where the police become a part of our family would definitely help. Now, what I will say is that we don't need a dray load of police officers.
I'm Laurentia Smith with your Jcn News.
17 months since COVID-19 reared its head and 14 months since it became a global pandemic. In that time, the highly infectious disease has claimed the lives of more than 3 million people and has infected some 164 million globally. Here in the Bahamas, COVID-19 cases total more than 11,000. That said, parliamentarians began debate on a resolution to extend the state of emergency for another 3 months. Health Minister Renward Wells moving the resolution laid a foundation as to why the country's state of emergency should be and needs to be extended. Minister Wells revealing that in this third wave of COVID, children are now the ones being infected.
During the entire first and second waves, COVID-19 cases among those 0 to 9 years represented only 1% of the total cumulative cases for each respective wave. Already at this point in the third wave, those ages 0 to 9 years account for 106 or 3% of the third wave COVID-19 cases.
Minister Wells contends that health officials are troubled by the trend of the age distribution of COVID infections that is evolving.
At this point in the third wave, Mr. Speaker, I want to be able people to hear and understand. At this point in the third wave, Mr. Speaker, we are seeing COVID-19 infections in the very young and adolescent population, and they are being hospitalized.
The health minister suggesting that this phenomena is the result of variants in country, noting that positive COVID-19 samples were screened at the National Reference Lab for mutations. The minister says that health officials await confirmation.
Mr. Speaker, recognizing the phenomena of increasing cases among young and adolescents, I want all and sundry to hear this, Mr. Speaker. I want all and sundry to hear this. Recognizing the phenomena of increasing cases among young and adolescents, the government has moved with urgency to secure doses of the Pfizer vaccine, which is the only emergency use listing approved vaccine for administration to the under 18 age group.
You're watching Jcn News. Stay with us.